Well, a local university professor thinks the findings from a recent University of the Bahamas survey on marital rape could be larger, citing influences from slavery and colonialism as a part of the reason for the prevalence of gender-based violence in the Bahamas. Leah Cooper has more in this report.
University of the Bahamas Associate Professor Dr. Nicolette Bethel says numbers coming out of a recent UB survey may be lower compared to what the reality is for women here in the Bahamas. That survey revealed that nearly 4,000 women have claimed to be raped by their husband.
I don't think that everybody who's been raped by their husbands either know or call it rape, because we're training people to say that you can't be raped by your husband. So if you believe that, then you might have been raped and don't call it that. And two, people may not want to admit it. So I think that the number is probably low. We have a violent society. We have a high rate of violence against women in general. We have a high rate of intimate partner violence among non-married people. So why should that be any different among married people?
Now, lawmakers are seeking to change the definition of rape in the current law, which defines it as the act of any person not under 14 years of age having sexual intercourse with another person who is not his spouse without the consent of that person. The Sexual Offenses Amendment Bill 2022 will repeal Section 3 of the current law by removing the words "who is not his spouse." Dr. Bethel adds that the UB survey's responses come from a certain group of people who are more aware of how to define rape.
And then there are going to be other people who would not necessarily categorize being forced to have sex as rape. We don't know what consent for sex is, right? What coercion is. Our law is quite strong in that definition, but I find that we as a community don't really know the parameters. No, you can't. No, I'm not interested.
She adds that the Bahamas has higher numbers of violence against women compared to how the figures stack up for other Caribbean nations.
But we don't know why. Whether it's because Bahamian women are reporting it more, which is a possibility, or whether that we actually have higher numbers of domestic violence. There are theories that say that we have not dealt with the trauma that we were founded on when you found a society, and slavery and colonialism and subordination. These are the kinds of things that are going to persist even when that history is finished.
That said, Dr. Bethel further explains that in order to create societies created on enslavement and colonialism, one must create certain structures.
From legal structures, which would include the fact that it is not illegal for a man to force his wife to have sex with him, to educational structures, to cultural norms. All of these things are put in place to support slavery and colonialism. And if you don't actively dismantle them and put other things in place, they are going to persist.
Last week, the Bahamas Christian Council President Delton Fernander told reporters he found the survey's recent findings horrific. This as the church remains divided on whether or not it supports this piece of legislation, a group that's been giving the government major pushback on the issue. Asked for his views on the matter, Prime Minister Philip Davis went on record in the past to say that, quote, rape is rape, advising both single and married women to report matters of abuse to police. Social Services Minister Obi Wolshcombe also told reporters that the government's hoping that consultations on the drafted amendment bill will be completed before early next year in time for the Attorney General's meeting with the United Nations in February of 2023. Leah Cooper, Eyewitness News.